What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. I am the brains behind this operation. Welcome to the show for any newcomers. Welcome back for anyone that is a previous listener. Much obliged for you to come back. Big news for me that I feel that I have to let everyone know. I have been nominated for the best podcast in the city of Pittsburgh. And to be honest, I'm flattered. First time that I've ever been nominated and made the final cut. I know last year I think I was on the nominations list, but I didn't make the final cut. But this year, out of a huge list, I was picked to be in the top 10. So I move on to the final round where everyone votes. So if you enjoy the podcast, if you love what I do, if you like listening every week to me talking to all these interesting people, go to I'll Call You Right Back on Instagram, hit follow on there, and then click the link in the bio. On the top tab, you'll see vote for me for best podcast. Click on that, and then it'll take you to the Pittsburgh City paper page, and then there will be four boxes there, 4 categories. Click people and places, and then scroll down, and you'll find best podcast. And then all you do is click on that. You'll see my name. I'll call you right back on that list. And there's a button right next to it that says vote. Hit vote, and then you might have to add your email. I'm sorry. Put in your burner account. You know what I mean? Everyone got an email where they just put it in. Oh yeah, you can have my email, and you just never look at it again. Hey, we all do. But I would be appreciative if you vote for me. I work hard on this. I'm proud of this product. I'm proud of what I do each and every week with this podcast, and it would just be a big help to me, and I thank you in advance. But you scratch my back, I'm going to scratch yours, right? So I got to let you guys know about the Turner Dairy Farms golf giveaway that's going on right now. If you hop on at Turner's PGH on their Instagram page, you will see a post back. You'll see Turner's giveaway. If you click on that, they're giving away one of all of their golf merchandise pieces. You got a polo in there, you got a golf glove in there, you got golf balls in there, you got tees, you got a golf towel, and you got the sickest golf ball marker that I have it for whenever I go golfing now. It is a Turner's Crate ball marker. Who wouldn't want that? You go on their page, you comment 3 people, your foursome for golf. If you play golf with people, it's usually you and 3 other people. Comment them 3 other people that you want to, that you would love to golf with. Simple as that. And then you got a chance to win this whole prize pack. And Turner's is going to be picking a winner tomorrow, Friday. So hop on there right now, enter while you remember. And I already have all these things, so I'm not going to enter. I'll give you all a fair shake because I would be in there all day. You know what I mean? It's OGO golf shirt. Got one. I love it. They fit well. You know what I mean? What more can you want? Some Turner swag, the lifeblood of the city. But the reason that everyone is here this week, we have a great episode this week. Toni Shelaske is the owner of Healthy Pet Products and Healthy Pet Grooming, which is a high-end pet store. And I've never been to the grooming place. From what I gather from our conversation, the grooming is attached to one of the pet stores in Cranberry. I don't know for sure, but I know that she has grooming. I believe it's up in Cranberry. Forgive me for not knowing that complete detail. But Toni and I sit down and we talk about the pet business. You know what I mean? I feel like as a young child, you always ask young children, what do you want to be when you grow up? Some people are like, I want to play basketball. I want to play football. I want to be an astronaut, be a doctor. You never hear about a kid wanting to own a pet store. And why don't you? You know what I mean? That we're shepherded into this bullshit type of living, Everyone wants to be like, oh, let's go be an astronaut and do all this crazy stuff. I want to work with dogs all day. I would love to own a pet store and work with dogs all day. I didn't go down that path, but I wanted to pick someone's brain who did. So me and Toni sit down and I figure out how she got into the pet world. Turns out she wasn't a kid who ever thought she was going to own a pet store, but she got a pretty cool story on how it came to be. She started out in the pet sitting business, which manifested itself into a pet store, which manifested itself into a dog stop, and I mean, the story just keeps going, and she is a hustler. Like, you could tell she doesn't stop working, and it was just a super good conversation. We talk about everything from, the importance of quality products for your dogs. I'll be honest. When I got a dog, I became obsessed. I became not overbearing, but maybe that's a good word to use, but I just became like very overprotective is a better word. But I immediately am just YouTubing shit, listening to podcasts, like reading about it, talking to people I know, going to trainers, doing everything I can to set my dog up for success. But the most important thing that I had to do was find a headquarters, a home base. You always want to find a home base that carries what you need for your fur animals. You know what I mean? I meant to say fur babies, but fur animals came out. I guess that works. But you always want a place that you could go and just find the shit you need when you need it. And that's the first thing I did was I went out there and I tried to find a place that had the stuff that I wanted. And I looked around the city, and randomly a couple months ago, I'm driving down the road on 19 and I see this store called Healthy Pet Products. Me and my wife go in there, blown away by it all. Absolutely blown away by the selection they have of everything, the quality of the brands that they have in there. They got all the good shit you want. They got all the selection. I mean, you got everything from, you can get kibble in there, you can get raw food, you can get, the whole 9 yards. And in this conversation, we talk about, how that progressed over the years, like how back in the day it was always just like, we're feeding our dog Alpo, you know what I mean? We'll give him a Benny bone, it's a plastic bone, and that's it. And you realize that now there is like, they make puzzles for dogs, you know what I mean? They make like they make like things that spark your dog's minds up. And I mean, we just get deep into it. And then I knew Toni is an advocate for raw fed for her dog. So me and her talk about, the pros and cons of raw fed to kibble fed. And, I pick her brain about that because I've never met anyone that fed their dog raw. And it's kind of a touchy topic. If you ask, people will live and die on that hill. It's like Apple and Android users. It's one or the other. But I wanted to talk to her about it and kind of get her information, why she does it, why, the benefits that she's recognized. Because again, I just want my dog to have a good life. And if people are doing shit that I don't know about, that's good for them, I want to know about it. I'm not saying that anything's good or bad. I don't know yet, but I was just picking the brain of someone who knew more than I did. But Toni was so cool that, after our conversation, I wanted to, I reached out to her because the rescue that we rescued Naja, my dog, from, they are doing a fundraiser next month that they do to raise money for Bridge to Home Animal Rescue, which is a rescue in the city that, they just are working. You know what I mean? All these animal rescues are working, but these are people that I looked at and was just blown away by, honestly, the selection of dogs. I was blown away by the interview process that I had to go through. It felt very thorough. I felt like they definitely do their due diligence, but they're having a picnic that their adopters go to raise money for their organization. And they do auctions, they do baskets, people play games, and it's just a good way to drum up some money. And I really wanted to give back to them because, sometimes I look at my dog and I weep. To be completely honest, she changed my life. Me and my wife talk about her all the time, and it's just like I feel like that's like a piece of my heart and I've only had her for like 7 months. It's just like I couldn't even imagine my life without her. So I wanted to do anything I could to give back to these great people who do all this stuff. I mean, if you follow their Facebook, you could see, they'll just get a litter of puppies, and sometimes everything goes right with them, but sometimes they're the only people that are going to take a litter of parvo-ridden puppies and have to deal with the heartbreak that comes with that. So again, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but I just wanted to help raise some money for these people. So I reached out to Toni. She has this great pet store. I was like, hey, if you want to do something good, I'm going to put in some money to make a basket for this auction. I would love if you would be generous enough to donate anything you'd be willing to donate. Today, I literally just got back from Healthy Pet Products. Toni had a big ass box waiting for me of all kinds of good shit, and she hooked me up on everything else that I bought. She donated a good bit. I forked out some money from my own pocket, and I'm just excited to be able to give back to that. And that just really speaks to the type of business owner and the type of person that Toni is. And I just can't thank her enough. Also, Toni is the main sponsor for the Pet Expo that's going to be happening in November. We talk a lot about that at the end, and it sounds like it's crazy. I have not been there yet, but I'm pumped to go this year. But definitely listen to that, and I'll be sure to be posting about that whenever it gets a little bit closer. But I'll quit beating everyone's ear. I'm sorry it was a long intro. I just had some shit to get off my chest. I was thankful. Just wanted to, say thanks to her and give her shine for being a great person. So without further ado, episode 174 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Toni Shelaske of Healthy Pet Products.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. You're pressed to be out of here? Okay. Do you prefer no headphones?
I don't know.
Try it out.
I have no idea.
People, some people are weirded out by their voice. Does that sound all right in your headphones?
Yeah.
Okay. Usually it's better because you'll be able to tell if you move away from the mic, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, basically I'm just, you asked me before in the store why I started a podcast. Mm-hmm. And it's just to figure out about people that are doing cool things. Everyone is pretty much stuck in their life. For you, for instance, I'm sure your whole life is that the pet store. You have you own a dog stop too?
Well, that closed.
Oh, did it?
COVID killed it.
Okay. Well, you did have that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, your whole life is that. And, my whole life is what I do, but I just get curious about
Sure.
Other things. So this is just a way for me to, berate someone for an hour plus, because it would be weird if I did it. If I saw you at the store and I just sat there and annoyed you for 2 hours asking you about, I feel like that would be weird. So this is a good outlet to be able to do that. And usually people like to hear, I feel like people, are curious about the same things that I'm curious about.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate enough to, have some success with this. People like to listen to the things that I'm interested in, and usually goes pretty well.
Okay. Hey, is it Pittsburgh people, or you've done?
Oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It really is everywhere.
Okay.
The numbers have grown quite a lot. I have people listening, and I looked the other day, and just in the last month, there was 86 downloads in this one part of Italy, just very randomly.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people find out about stuff over there, how they get into it. But I looked, and usually there'll be a couple downloads in other countries, but 86, I have no idea why. So maybe someone got into it and started listening to a bunch of old episodes.
Okay.
But so I came across your store because I recently moved out here, and I recently adopted a dog. and I became a dog dad. And one day when we were driving to pick up some pizza, I saw Healthy Pet Products, and I don't know. I'm your typical, mark for a dog dad. I immediately became obsessed. I immediately just want to provide for my, I don't have kids. Me and my wife don't have kids. So it's just like, that's the closest thing we have to it. So I want to provide for my dog, make them have a happy life. Mm-hmm. I was pretty impressed by the store though. When did that open?
The South Hills store?
Yeah.
The actual first South Hills location opened in October 2011. That original store was up by South Hills Village.
Oh, okay.
I moved it to where it is now 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was your first one in 2011?
No, my first location was in 2008 in the North Hills.
Oh, wow.
So October of this year will be 13 years in business.
13 years for Healthy Pet Products.
Correct.
So usually, I talk about like what you're kind of doing, but I'm kind of curious about how you got there. So where did you grow up?
Blairsville, Pennsylvania.
Blairsville. And growing up, did you have an idea that you wanted to be a pet product store owner?
So
I'm going to push this up just a little bit.
Yeah. I did not have pet products specifically in my mind.
Yeah.
I used to joke that I wanted to have my own store.
Yeah.
That was more towards high school and college. It's funny because my nieces and nephews would make up names and my nieces and nephews call me TT. So it was like TT's Boutique or, so the pet thing was not really in my vision at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a dog till I was 15 years old. I didn't have any pets till I was 15.
Wow.
My parents grew up in the Depression age. They were the greatest generation. And, you just didn't have dogs in the house. You didn't, you did what you could. So, but my best friend and I were driving down this old country road going on a babysitting trip. And there was a tiny little puppy about the size of my hand, literally in a ditch.
Wow.
Crawling along the side of the road. And we pulled over and I picked her up and took her home, and I said, can I keep her? And my mother said, can I swear?
Yeah.
There'll never be a goddamn dog in this house as long as I live.
Yeah.
And I have good parents. They just are very vocal.
No,
my mother
I get
was
it.
very, very vocal Italian.
I get it.
And so I go downstairs with this puppy crying, and my dad comes down like 20 minutes later and says, you can keep her.
Oh, wow.
So that's really... and honestly, Princess, I ended up naming her Princess.
Was it just a mutt?
A total mutt.
Yeah.
And she weighed about 17 pounds,
Full grown.
Full grown, 17
Oh,
pounds.
wow.
Big old terrier mix. She lived 18 years.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy, especially when she literally grew up on Alpo, canned food.
I know.
The worst of the worst.
It's such a crazy thing because like I'm 31, my parents, we had dogs my entire life, but it was such that it was like that regular American template where it's like you feed them Alpo in the red labeled can. That's what my first dog had. I remember feeding her all the time. It was just a can of that sloshed in there.
Yeah.
And then when we got our next dog, it was like pedigree in that big yellow bag.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I often now, like when I'm sitting here with my dog and I'm like finding myself going down these rabbit holes of like, canine enrichment and all this. And I'm just like, God, like whenever I was younger, I feel like I was such like our dogs were just like maybe bored to death. That's why they were acting out, or that's why they were just like not being the most like, responsive to training. You're just like, well, it's bored. You know what I mean? It's but it's interesting to think about that because that's usually what it was. There was no like bells and whistles, so to speak, for the pet product world.
Yep.
And when you're younger, that's obviously how you're raised, but like your store is like, catered to if you got an allergy, if the dog is like picky, there's 1,000 toys, there's 1,000 treats. Yeah. Like I saw your story the other day of the one worker there eating one of the treats because they're human grade treats.
Oh yeah.
It's I feel like it's impressive to see now that I'm a dog owner.
Yeah. It's a totally different world now.
Absolutely. So when do you so you're 15 and where do you have all your information on what you're going to do for this dog? I mean, you're just kind of spitballing it.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't even, my mom and dad,
They never had animals?
No.
Yeah, so it's crazy to me because before, me and my wife were like, oh, we're going to pick up this dog in 4 days. So for 4 days, we're watching every single YouTube, reading everything. And back then, there's just there's none of these resources.
Yeah.
I feel like it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
So was your puppy a good experience?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents would buy canned food, which is better. That's another story, but at least she had wet food most of her life and a lot of table scraps, to be honest with you. I mean, my mom cooked every day. So, and that generation fed leftovers to dogs.
Absolutely.
And cats. So, that's part of the reason why I think she lived till she was 18. Because she didn't, even though she had the Alpo can, she still got human grade food that were leftovers.
Yeah.
So that's Princess. And then, there's points in our lives and things in our lives that you can really pick out that kind of pivot you in the right direction. So Princess was definitely impactful in my life because when she started to age, she couldn't hold it all day long. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And this is before daycares. This is before doggy daycares.
Yeah, and
this
kennels
is
and all that.
Yeah. So I'm like, what? And I'm not the kind to bother my neighbors or, family and friends. So I wanted to find a solution. So I literally started looking in the yellow pages because it was before Google and everything because I'm not as young as you. So I literally saw a listing in the paper that said Home Alone Pet Sitter. And I thought, So I called her, told her what I need. That's exactly what she did. She would be able to stop in midday and let my dog out.
Wow.
So while we were at work.
Yeah.
So I hired her. She was great. She'd leave me a note, how Princess did, yada, yada, yada. So I had been in retail management my whole life until that point, and I thought, I think I might want to do this.
Yeah.
So the person, I'll just say boyfriend that I was with at the time, I told him the idea, and he wasn't very supportive.
Yeah.
We split up not long after that.
Yeah.
Fast forward, next boyfriend, he's like, go for it. He's like, what's the worst that can happen?
Your goal was you wanted to be like a pet sitter type thing. I wanted to be a pet sitter. Yeah.
So I got into pet sitting. I was full-time within a year.
Oh, wow.
And it was crazy.
I mean, back then they didn't have any. We have Rover and shit now, and it's so crazy because you could just hire they design these apps for that. But that's such a cool idea that people had that back then
there
to do.
There was one other pet sitter in the North Hills because that's where I live now.
Yeah,
and there was hardly anybody else doing it.
Wow.
So I went full time. And
are you marketing yourself in the yellow pages and stuff?
I did the. Do you remember
Penny Saver?
Yeah.
No way.
The Penny Saver.
Wow.
And I went to a couple vet offices and left my business cards.
Yeah.
And it was like turnkey. It was so easy. I needed hardly anything. There is a Pet Sitters Association.
Yeah.
And I joined them. I got a little bit of liability insurance through them.
Yeah.
And then.
Was that required?
It was word of mouth. It wasn't required.
Yeah, but to be safe, yeah. So how old were you at the time when you started this business?
29, 30.
Okay, so you definitely are entrepreneurial. You wanted to be your own boss.
For sure.
That's super cool. Now, did you have an idea before you even got into retail management? What was your hopes and dreams? Younger people. I want to be a doctor. I want to play professional sports. Did you have an idea?
I think. The only idea I had was I did want to have some type of store.
Oh, that's cool then. Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can. And I went to IUP.
Yeah.
I majored in drinking.
That's where my wife went. Yeah. IUP.
And we have the same name.
Antoinette. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Wow, small world. That's
Yeah.
why I was curious. I was like, Toni, it has to be short for Antoinette.
Yeah.
Because that's what some of her friends called her.
Uh-huh.
But she went to IUP, she had a minor in drinking, major in Spanish. That's what it was.
And I went from 85 to 89, so it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so fun then. So anyhow, I majored in, I started out in business.
Yeah.
And I wasn't doing real well. And my dad encouraged me to go into business. And I think he really kind of saw that I had that in me.
Yeah.
But my grades sucked. So I majored in fashion I switched to fashion merchandising, and I have a minor in business.
Okay.
So I got through.
Work some off jobs until you figured it out.
I did my I did what I majored in. I was in fashion merchandising until I was 28 years old.
And you and
I worked for Aeropostale. I was a manager for them. I was a manager for Express.
It's an exhausting life, retail.
It's exhausting, but
Yeah.
I am very thankful for every minute of it.
Yeah,
because
I enjoyed it. I always enjoyed it. I've worked in retail a lot. I managed a clothing boutique in the South Side for a little bit, and it was it's overwhelming. But I mean, it's long, but it's fun because you're always just like buzzing. Like there's
And
not
it's
like
different.
yeah, it's different than doing it. There's
Yeah.
there's goods and bads to all of it for sure. But so it's interesting that you go from like fashion and everything,
Yeah.
and you had pets while this is all going on.
Yeah.
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 And are you? I know whenever I came in with my dog, you said you don't do puppies. So
I don't do. Princess is my only puppy.
Yeah,
I have never done a puppy since,
I don't blame you.
and I will never do a puppy.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
I don't have time for a puppy.
It's definitely overwhelming. And so you were like, oh, I want to get into pet sitting, and then like, how long does that last?
So I did pet sitting for 8 years,
Wow.
which was I burned myself out.
Yeah.
Which is easy to do because it's not easy. It's not just going and playing with a dog or a cat all day.
Well, they're all different people that you got to learn, basically.
You have to learn their food, their walk, their this, their that, and it's a good job. It was a great job. And it's 3 shifts. Like if you do when people travel,
Yeah.
you have to take care of the dog in the morning, at the dinner time, and then bedtime.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 long shifts. So when you go home for dinner, you can't have a glass of wine with dinner. Because
You're not sitting down because you got to get back out.
You got to
and
get
do
back
it.
up.
So you're to the point where you're full time, and you're like, do you have like a company vehicle that you're like riding around in?
I
or
used
is it...
my personal vehicle.
Okay, yeah.
I used my personal vehicle. I had a couple of people help me when it was summertime and really busy.
Yeah, super busy. That's what I was curious. Is like if you're going around and like getting all this stuff, that's cool that it was going that long. So how did that progress?
So pet sitting was great, and I was starting to get burned out, and I'm like, I got to find something to do. I gotta get out of this.
Yeah.
So literally, where I lived, there was a pet store called Healthy Pet Products.
Oh, okay.
And it was 1,000 square feet. And when I walked my dog at the time, that was Meg. When I walked Meg, every once in a while we would stop in and just get a treat or whatever.
Yeah.
Owners were great. It was a cute little store. They had the healthy concept. Everything was natural, all that kind of stuff. They didn't carry raw food though.
Do you have that mindset back then though that
For sure.
that you're like trying to get the good products and everything?
I was already feeding raw at the time, which is another story.
It's a controversial topic for sure, and I definitely want to talk to you about it because I've done a lot of research on it too, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay. So,
where was this Healthy Pet Products?
so it was in the North Hills,
Okay.
in McCandless,
Yeah.
on Perry Highway, and the owners had owned it, and they have an interesting story of how they got into it too. It was a husband and wife that owned it.
Yeah.
Wife was their dogs. They had two Shih Tzus at the time.
Yeah.
Their dogs were riddled with skin allergies. They were a mess. Went to the vet, did all kinds of meds. Nothing was working. Nothing was, and she was at her wit's end. And she was talking to her dentist about it.
Yeah.
And her dentist said, "Why don't you try Solid Gold food?" And she's like, "I've never heard of that." And he said, "Well, it's a really all natural food. my dogs do great on it. So she found it because this was before, Amazon and all that shit. So she found it and started her dogs on it. And her dogs completely changed. That was
like the closest thing to the raw feeding.
It was just a dry food,
okay.
But it was no wheat, no corn, no soy, no food coloring, no chemical preservatives.
Yeah, none of the extra shit.
Yeah, so her dogs literally recovered just from that, just from improving the dry food.
Yeah, you hear a lot about that. Yep. Even whenever people whenever I was reading in the beginning, it said, because I was curious, like, oh, do I want to feed her grain free first? Do I want to feed her all wholesome greens? And like, I'm part of, just as I'm sure that you deal with all the bullshit of like people that are, the keyboard warriors, they go and they Google some things and they're setting it. And I try to be as unbiased as I can be because, people are way smarter than me. I just want to take in the information and chew it up myself and come up with my own solution. But I join these groups on Facebook that have been a big help. It's called the Pet Veterinarian Corner, PVC, and it's a group where only registered veterinarians that are vetted, no pun intended, vetted, that they could reply. If you're not a vet and you reply, you just get kicked out of the group. And it's super useful because people are saving a lot of money because, like, if any problem, people are posting piles of shit on there, bloody stool, everything, and like just asking these. And it's a volunteer service by all these vets where they will offer their opinions and like their service. And the benefit of it is, as a pet owner myself, I only, we can't all go to 17 different vets and get each's opinion and do that. But
spend $1 million.
And spend $1 million. So it's nice that these people volunteer their time just to add their advice, add everything. And like, I go on there and I research the whole raw diet, the whole grain free. And, it's definitely overwhelming how many vets say stay away from raw feeding, but, they say in the beginning, feed food with grain until there's any problems because, I don't know. I know, but I know it's controversial for sure because people will die on the hill of either side.
Yes.
But
yes.
I'm curious about it. So why do you think that raw is more beneficial? And
the saying, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
It creates a different animal.
Yeah.
I've been feeding nothing but raw food since I was 30 years old.
Yeah.
So 23 years.
And you've had it's been beneficial for all of it.
I can't even tell you how they have cleaner teeth, better breath. Their muscle mass is better.
Yeah.
Their vitality is better. No ear booger, no eye boogers, no ear gunk, no smelly coat. When you dig into and really rub a dog and you have that oily grit on your hands, there's none of that. They drink when they eat raw food, they drink about half the amount of water that they normally would because kibble is dehydrating. It's 10% moisture, and their bodies are designed for eating foods with moisture.
Yeah.
Meat, muscle, organs, those are full of moisture.
Yeah.
So they drink a lot less water because they don't need it. It's in the food. Their stool is about half the size and half the volume.
Yeah, I saw that post today on the Instagram. It said that kibble fed animals poop 3 times as much as others. But for someone who, I know that you have a lot of time and education in this. It's like, but as a pet owner, and I look at what all these veterinarians are saying. It's like, to be it's like these people go to school for it.
Yep.
How do I, how does someone take your advice over taking a doctor's advice? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As someone who is a new dog owner.
Yeah, I talk to people all day long about this.
And I'm sure that's something that you have, became well versed in over time because you have all these people coming in like I did today, asking asking your opinion about food.
Yep.
But it's interesting to see all the ways that they weigh in on it.
So usually when I have customers that are at a point where you're at. You still have a puppy.
Yeah.
You've done some research. You've talked to vets. You're like, well, what's right? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's your decision.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you do the research, figure out what makes sense to you.
Absolutely.
I don't beat it. I don't shove it down people's throats.
No, I get that. I don't get that from you.
And none of my staff does. I mean, you I have a freezer.
Yeah, I didn't get that from
freezer.
anyone though.
Yeah,
whenever I went and asked, even that lady who helped me today, like I didn't get that ever from anyone of being like overwhelmed by it.
Yep.
But I see so many of these like accounts saying that like, but it's mainly saying that there could be a lot of bacterial problems and like, that could be that seems to be the main breakdown of why people say it's not the best.
Correct.
But I also see that there is benefits where dogs, skin is completely, it'll go from being just like raw, allergies raw, and like then you feed them raw, and then it just goes away, kind of works itself out.
Yeah, and the bacteria thing, I think it's all they have to go on.
Yeah,
and it's not scientifically. Can I say I have my air quotes up?
Yeah.
It's not scientifically backed.
Yeah.
Dogs' digestive systems are a lot shorter than ours.
Yeah.
They get their food in and out quick.
Yeah.
Their digestive acids are much stronger than ours.
Yeah, you could bones, everything.
Bones, everything. So that bacteria, they're designed to handle and pass without any issues. I've literally seen my dogs bury bones 2 weeks later, dig them up and eat them.
Yeah,
and
it's
not get
crazy.
sick.
Yeah.
So there's live enzymes in food. In that raw food, there's so many beneficial ingredients. It's more viable. It's more digestible. I know that,
I know, as someone who reads it and sees like how they're, the grain free is linked to like heart disease and all this stuff. I'm trying to do my due diligence, for my dog and just keep her as healthy as I could be. So that's why it's curious to like hear that, because I feel like unless you're going deep down the rabbit hole of like wanting to learn about feeding raw, it seems like that there's just a negative cloud whenever it's brought up with the others.
And I usually, if people haven't already talked to their vet about raw food, I usually warn them that they're going to get a negative reaction from their vet.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this is America.
Yeah.
And we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think the vets will ever come. There are some vets that support it.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to a vet. She completely supports me.
Yeah.
So, people ask me why don't vets like it? And other than it's not scientifically backed, the bacteria, oh my God, the bacteria. Oh.
Dogs are eating piles of shit outside and dead animals and all that.
Yeah. Princess loved dead animals. So,
it's just the choice. It's like, people could, Apple users, Android users, everyone's going to die on their own hill.
Exactly.
But it's interesting to read both the ends of it all and like to kind of develop your own choice. And I don't know, hopefully people just make the right choice with it all. Do you have a lot of do you tend to see a lot of people, I feel like it's becoming more popular now, but as someone who owned this store for as long as you have, did you see like a shift? Like when did that happen? Like when did the raw shift start to happen?
So when I purchased Healthy Pet Products in 2008, because I purchased it from that couple that originally owned it.
Yeah.
So they didn't even have a freezer.
No.
And I used to ask them, guys, I'm making my own raw food.
How did you get hip to it though?
So that's another aha moment.
Yeah.
I was in Bellevue and I was walking into a grooming shop because I was just going in to check out, what they had and whatnot. And literally as I walked in the store, I witnessed the groomer hand her collies.
I think I read that.
It's part of my story in my somewhere, a raw chicken leg. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You can't do
It's bizarre to like whenever you're not expecting it, you're like
I'm like, you're going to kill your dog. She's like, no, I'm not. And she said, did you ever hear of raw feeding? And I was like, no. And she said, "This is what dogs are designed to eat. This is where what they would naturally eat in the wild."
Yeah, they were wolves, you know.
Literally, like a light bulb went on in my head. And she said she recommended a couple books. I went out and got them right away.
Yeah.
Read them, and Meg, because Princess had passed at this time, my dog Meg literally went from eating Purina 1 to, because I was a Purina 1 person, to raw the next day. And she
responded well to it.
100%.
It's so interesting to see because I have a couple friends who they breed like high-end like bullies, like, you know, like the exotic ones. And he buys, you know, a box of frozen chicken, and they're eating like, you know, whole chicken legs, and they're like they're, you know, high-end exotic dogs, and, you know, they are fed the best diet, but you usually see them being fed raw. And it's interesting to just see that because, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, it's just like the new way of things that people, you know, kind of fear. And I'm not against it, but I'm not educated enough. I'm not educated enough on it, but I am curious.
So I have a lot of customers say that, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to think about anything.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's already ground, formulated, even AFCO approved. So
what is AFCO?
American Association of Feed Control Officials.
Oh, okay.
So they have that stamp on pet foods that say, okay, this is complete and balanced, which a dog would never eat a complete and balanced meal.
Yeah.
If you're on his own in the wild, they would gradually get there.
Eat what they can when they can.
Yeah. So you literally thaw and serve. Like it's meat, bone, and organ. Typically 95% of the formula is meat, bone, and organ, ground.
Wow.
And then some fruits and vegetables, botanicals. Some do some supplements, you know, coconut oil, this, that, and the other. So every company has a different formula, of course. But for the most part, they are all AFCO, complete and balanced. And again, this is America, so it's easy. It's convenient.
Yeah, everything's convenient.
They come in little bite-sized nibbles. They come in 1 ounce little bricks, and they come in 8 ounce patties.
So that raw kibble that you gave me, that sample of that raw kibble, it's in that red bag.
That's Stella and Chewy's.
Yeah, Stella Chewy's.
Yeah.
So is that that's a raw kibble or what?
No. So Stella and Chewy's, the raw does not have a definition. The word raw does not have a definition in the FDA. Same with natural. Anybody can use natural, and it doesn't really mean shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that they call theirs a raw kibble. It's actually a baked kibble with a freeze-dried raw coating.
Oh, okay.
That's where
just for a little extra pizzazz for the dog.
Exactly.
And it's a good marketing technique for it all.
Right.
But the dog definitely likes it. Like you could tell, just a little extra flavor. So for you to, you know, whenever you bought this pet store and like they obviously didn't have it all, was it overwhelming to, you know, try to get the corporatized, is that the word? Is that a word? Corporized version of like the raw types foods? Like if you wanted to implement that into your store from now on.
Which I did immediately.
Yeah. So like back then, what was the selection like?
Not much.
Yeah.
The first brand I brought in was Primal.
Okay.
They've been in business a little bit over 20 years. So it's a California company. Started by one man that just believed in raw feeding. Yeah. So, and they had a freezer program. So, in other words, you buy so much food.
And they would bring in a freezer.
We're going to give you the freezer. Okay. And it was a single glass-doored freezer. So,
what was the turnaround of like people feeding kibble to raw back then?
It was usually people looked at me like I had 3 heads
when
I would talk to them about raw food.
Yeah, because whenever we went into, we go to all these different high-end pet stores around here just because, we want the good stuff. And I was walking by and I saw chicken heads and all this stuff, chicken feet, pig noses. And I'm like, this is intense because like I saw an entire duck head. Yeah. It was it's like the size of the Starbucks cup. And I asked asked the lady, I was like, so this is like good, like everything's fine, because obviously I'm new at it. So, and my parents never fed our dogs that, so I didn't know. I was like, is she going to choke on this beak? The dog loves it.
Right.
Like absolutely just goes insane.
So the interesting thing is when you say your parents would have never fed that shit.
Yeah.
When I told my parents that I started feeding raw food and it didn't even faze them.
Yeah.
They were like, well, that's what a dog would have naturally eaten.
Yeah, I mean, it's logical for sure.
They would have thrown the feet, thrown the head.
Me and my guy at work, we always talk about, because his dog, he has two older, like lab German Shepherd mixes, and like they have health problems, like, skin, one had a tumor on the spleen that ended up being benign, but, he's saying like, the wolves in the wild have cancer and shit like that because, that ain't even a real thing because they're not eating this like processed ass shit. Right. And it's very logical to think that way. Right. It's like we're the ones that are eating garbage and like kind of putting the poison in ourselves. But, you don't see I'm sure that there's situations where, animals in the wild are sick to some extent, but I'm sure it ain't as much as like us feeding them this processed ass, this processed ass shit. So anytime I have an opportunity to buy like them dehydrated like them bison pieces, I try to even it out though.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to hear a scary statistic?
Sure.
Dogs dying of cancer.
Yeah.
It's over 50%.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my mom's dog literally yesterday, he had a tumor on the spleen. Just got the call yesterday. It was the aggressive one. So that he now has like 2 to 4 months they're saying to live. He's 13. He's older. Yeah. But my mom's older dog, he's 16 and they say that he's ripping. He's thriving. Yeah. But the other one, I literally just found that out yesterday and I ended up finding that out a little bit sooner because my guy's dog at work, he said that before they got the tumor sent out for testing, he was like, the vet told me that 66% come back to be, an aggressive form of cancer. And, you're lucky if you get one that isn't. So obviously he got lucky and it wasn't, but my mom's poor pup.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It is. It's a shame, but it's so many people it's scary to like be parts of these groups on Facebook because like you see all the bad things and you're like, man, this is definitely common. Yep. But it's weird. 50%, over 50%.
And that's what's diagnosed.
Yeah.
Think about all the dogs that
farm dogs and all that shit that aren't going. Yep. Like they broke a leg or just they'll live with it. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty wild to think about that. So you were kind of on the forefront of it all in the city with the pet stores because like there's not too many high end pet stores. So
there aren't. I mean Pedagogy is awesome.
Yeah.
They're in Shadyside in Greensburg.
Yeah.
So basically they have all the good stuff just like I do. So there's Pedagogy. They came around a little bit after me.
Yeah, I'm close with the girl who runs Biggie's Bullies. She's part owner.
Because she's part owner. Yeah. And I know Heather and Cole, and we have a really good working relation. We have a great relationship.
Yeah, it's good.
Wagsburg is a tiny little place on the north side.
Yeah, we used to go to Leone's.
Stuff. Leon's is good. He has good and bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, George.
That's all right.
And then there's, but Pet Supplies Plus, that's a massive corporation.
Yeah.
Some of them are franchise owned. The ones around here, I don't believe are.
Yeah.
And then there's Petland and PetSmart. And
there's all kinds of shit. Now, for you to kind of, change it up a little bit and like start this out, how long did you own the pet store before you like started to get into the other the other locations and then like the dog stop when you did that?
So as soon as I bought Healthy Pet Products, it was like I said, it was 1,000 square feet. I knew I wanted to move it immediately.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't big enough and it was just a horrible space. So I immediately started looking for another space. So I moved it a mile north, another crazy story, and doubled the square footage. But a woman literally walked in my door one day and said, "Hey, are you thinking about moving?" And I was like, give her this crazy, I'm like, yes. She's like, well, I'm a broker. And she said, I have a space just a mile north of here. Do you want to take a look at it? And I was like, Yeah.
Yeah, why not, right?
So just weird shit like that happens in my life all the time.
Yeah.
So I moved the location, doubled square footage, brought in more freezers because I needed them. Like it was really starting to grow at that point. So I would say 2009, 2000, like it was just a really gradual progression. So I was in the 2,000 square foot space in North Hills for 5 years.
Yeah.
I had a lot of people coming from South Hills. I even had people coming from West Virginia.
I bet.
So I knew that had to be where the second location would be.
Yeah.
So 2011, I opened the South Hills location. And then... I'm sorry. Why do you think people... How do you think people's information about raw feeding started to like kind of, get into the water, so to speak? I really believe most of it was word of mouth.
Yeah.
I did do advertising.
Yeah.
But I didn't do like crazy advertising. Like I didn't have an ad on DVE for months at a time.
Yeah,
that's, you know what I mean?
It got to be people,
seeking out better things for their pets.
Absolutely. I mean, wanting to just research and like kind of just like Googling what should I do for my puppy, stuff like that, because that's literally the shit that we were doing just to make sure from the beginning, because you hear all these horror stories. And I knew it was so weird because, we had dogs my entire life. So, but I don't ever remember, like being conscious of that, like whether it be like, we give him like a Nylabone and like, just some dumb, like a milk bone, that was their treat. And it makes me feel bad almost thinking about that now because like she's fucking spoiled. Like that dog gets so much, so much stuff. And it's nice to be able to, I do seek it. Like I really spend a lot of time like researching and all that. And I'm sure there's people that just have dogs and just, do the same old, like, and that's fine, whatever you want to do. But I seek it out.
And it's a movement.
Yeah.
It's not a trend.
Yeah.
A lot of people, that's, I hear vets say, oh, that all that trendy dog food, that fancy dog food, and everything we're saying can also go for cats.
For sure.
But it's a movement, and it's a movement in the human world because everybody, I feel, not everybody, but more people are seeking out better things to feed themselves because we're having more health issues.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And allergies and autoimmune disease than we ever did. And I think it's just spilling over into our pets.
Yeah. Now, do you notice from... like back then, was there like a movement for like the whole canine enrichment? Because now you have all these puzzles and all these slow feeders and everything. Yeah. And before, whenever I was younger, right in an old casserole dish, I think that's what we fed our dog in, was just an old casserole dish, a drinking glass full, didn't even like measure the servings. And now, there's these puzzles that are like Rubik's Cubes for dogs. Right. And my dog loves them. Like you could really see the interest, and like, you could see right when she's done how tired she is. Yeah. And it's fascinating and granted, it's all from Facebook. I came across this, that Shay Kelly, I think her name is, with Canine Enrichment, that book. And it just talks about how important it is. And it's almost as exhausting as physical, like taking your dog exercising.
Absolutely. It's physical and mental work. And again, going back to how they would naturally be, they would work for their food. There would not be...
I guess that's true.
...something placed in front of them.
Yeah.
They would work for it.
Yeah.
So, we see a lot more anxiety in dogs these days.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it, that they aren't working for their food. It's just like, here you go. And I also think that they do have a bit of like ADHD that kids get, because if you feed a dry food, which I'm going to refer to as kibble.
Yeah.
If you feed a kibble, even if it's the best of the best, we still need a starch because we need a binder to make that crunchy kibble, right?
Yeah.
So that starch turns into sugar in the body. So that can create that hyperactivity.
Oh, wow.
And a spike in their blood sugar.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
And if you're feeding like a Beneful or a Kibbles and Bits, God forbid, whoever's listening, please don't feed Beneful or Kibbles and Bits. There's food coloring in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already been proven that red dye food coloring can cause hyperactivity in our kids, it can do the same thing for our dogs.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
And the color's in there for us. It's not for the pets.
Yeah, they don't
Can't
give
even
a
see
shit.
Color. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about.
So, and I know you've had trainers on before. I'm sure Tina touched on a little bit of that. She's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot more to it than we realize, but the toy thing kind of there were toys back then, like in 2000, the early 2000s, but not nearly like there are now.
Yeah, like I remember like some ropes and stuff like that, but now I'm buying my dog her first like favorite toy that I ever got her was like a stump that had 3 hedgehogs in it, and you would have to pull the hedgehogs out.
Yeah.
She would it was insane because she's 11 weeks old, and she's doing that. Then I bought her these puzzles, and to watch her figure out these puzzles is like overwhelming because I timed her the first time I did it, and it took her like almost 2 minutes. It was the round circle one with just the white bones. It was like a level 1, and it took her like 3 minutes to figure it out. Now she'll literally do it in like 15 seconds, and it's so cool to be able to see her mind work like that. I bought another one. It was a level 2. It was like the brown one that like you have to shift the little paddles over. It was nothing for her. It's like and you could tell though you could tell that like she enjoys it. It doesn't like frustrate her. Some people say like, oh, dogs will get frustrated, but I don't see that in her. But
That's
you start to see that like incline over the years
for sure.
Yeah,
the pet industry has changed exponentially.
Yeah.
Since I got into it. I mean, it's constantly changing. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So like, how do you stay up to date? Like, what are your resources to be able to like figure it out? Because there's so many like smaller companies that are doing these things. And part of the reason that I was impressed with your store is that Rome brand that, I believe they're South Africa. I found them randomly on that canine enrichment page. Someone had like someone was talking about ostrich bones and how that they're better for a dog because they're honeycomb infrastructure rather than like splintering. So all I'm doing is researching, because the first bone that I ever got her was like some shitty bone that they gave us, and it like almost split, and she you saw it was bad. Yeah. So I was trying to find this, and I found that company Rome, and I had to order them and wait like 3 weeks online. But then I went into your store and you had a whole, end cap of them. And I was like blown away by that. I was like, these people are legit. But it's weird because, it's like ostrich bones, that wasn't like thought of back then.
Right.
And it's cool that they have all these new products.
There's so many products to choose from now.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a good thing because even with foods, there's a lot more natural foods to choose from than there were 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because I really have to weed through it a lot more.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You could be overwhelmed with like stuff that's just not quality.
Correct.
So how do you do that? How do you know what to get? Because I'm sure if you're, as a retail spot, you have to order a minimum. How do you know that you're not going to, get screwed on something?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a pretty good success rate.
Yeah.
But I really don't.
You go to like trade shows and stuff?
I always go to trade shows. There's 2 a year. Global is in Florida in the spring, and Super Zoo is in Vegas in the summer.
And that's everything. Like people are having all the foods there and like, all the toys and everything. Man, that would be so cool to go to.
Treats, food, training toys, the latest and greatest.
Yeah.
The craziest. So trade shows, I couldn't do it without the trade shows. I really couldn't. And company support, like a lot of it is that. If I have a good food, but it's not selling, and I have somebody to reach out to say, hey, this is, I want this to work. I need some help getting it going. It's not, it's taking more than my word.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes it's bad packaging. Who knows?
Yeah.
So it's a combination of, company support, but, and quality food. And it's tough because there's new ones on the market all the time. Like that one I gave you samples of today.
Yeah.
And that company's been around a long time, but they just created a grain inclusive food, a new fancy grain inclusive food because of the DCM scare that we've been subjected to for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
and that's the enlarged heart. That's the whole heart issue.
Yeah, with the grains and the legumes and all that shit.
Grain versus grain free.
Yeah, I mean, you seem like obviously someone that you're a raw fed person, so you could tell that like your opinions are going to sway to that a little bit more.
Sure, but I'm only going to push back so far. I'm going to give you my opinion.
Yeah, I like that.
And you do with it what you want.
Yeah, I like that because, I'm not someone who, I don't want shit jammed down my throat. I want to be educated, but I want to be educated bluntly. Yeah. I don't want like a bunch of sugar coated bullshit. Right. I just want to know, why do you think it's good? Why do you think it's bad? Yep. And, kind of develop my own. I still, like I said, I'm still up in the air about it all. It's interesting to see how it goes over time. But I don't know. Everyone, you can do everything. I feel like I get so paranoid with the dog.
Sure.
It don't even matter what it is. It's like, my God, is she hurt? Like I buy a GPS collar. Like I'm freaking out anytime I take her to daycare. I bought her a fee. What are they? Fee collars, whatever you call it. Uh-huh. I bought one of them. Do you have one for your dog?
I don't.
Does your dog what kind of dog do you have now?
I have 2 dogs that are rescued Australian cattle dogs.
Oh my goodness.
So a blue heeler and a red heeler.
Yeah, crazy. Are they crazy?
They're crazy.
Yeah, they're usually my aunt had all blue heelers and insane. Are they like off leash dogs or no?
I have one that's off leash.
Yeah.
And 100% solid, and another one will never be off leash.
Yeah. See,
his prey drive is way too high.
Oh yeah.
He's gone.
See, it's weird now because she never, my dog never worried about any sort of animal. Like if she saw rabbits, she would just sit there and look.
Yeah.
But she's been getting a little, she wants to go now.
It can change.
Yeah, it'll definitely change, but she's good. I don't know if she would hurt one. I think she wouldn't know what to do with it if she got there. But, my worry is she would run away. I don't trust her enough yet to let her be off leash because she's still super young, but I do have faith that, I want to try to train her as a therapy dog. I'm thinking I want to get her into that because I would like to go to like the cancer wards and stuff like that and like let her, help some people out. But I think eventually over time it'll get to that. But the GPS collar, it's just a peace of mind for me.
Sure.
Like whenever my dogs, my brother has 2 dogs. He had a Cairn Terrier who has since passed away, and then the girl that he married had a little like a medium pit bull, and then he bought like a big mix. Like it looked like a golden retriever, but the color was a Rottweiler. It was very weird. But it was like a mix between like a Hovawart, I think it was called. But these dogs would get out of the gate all the time, and they lived in a little neighborhood, so we would get we would get people putting pictures on like the All About Elizabeth forward page of my brother's dogs, but they would always come back. But like I would be sick about it because like, if I don't know where they are, my wife's best friend, she rescued a dog, and like a couple months later it was gone for like I think 12 days. And they were just like sick because she took the dog to her parents, which was 3 hours away. And the dog went after a deer and it was gone for like 11 days. So, and it's a new dog, never been to that area. Like I would be fucking sick about it. So I immediately bought that collar, and like, it's nice. It definitely has like, it's like, it's not as accurate sometimes, but gives you a little bit more of a peace of mind.
For sure.
Yeah. But it's cool because we have this world now where, you could buy anything. Like they have all kinds of shit, anything you could think of.
Anything you can think of.
But it's I don't know. I'm definitely a dog dad. So it's like, I'm curious though, you had that dog stop. Like when did that come into play?
That came into play. So I have a good relationship with, the pedagogy people. I have a good relationship with the guys that own the dog stop.
Yeah.
So we just kind of were like, hey, why don't we try to do something together?
Yeah.
And, me being a little bit more of a retail expert, them more, of course, the boarding and daycare expertise.
Yeah.
So we formed a separate corporation and decided to do it in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because we just weren't finding anything local that wouldn't, fight against any of our other locations.
Yeah.
So,
are those national?
The dog stop?
Yeah.
They are at least, I think, in 5 states so far.
Okay.
And I think they're really going to start spreading now.
Yeah. And like,
they got some
they have kenneling, daycare, grooming,
training,
all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously that's like the next lane that you try to want to work into.
Sure. Yeah. And I knew that they, were talking to franchise owners and thought, well, this might be a good opportunity. I like these guys. We have a good relationship. So we did a space in Cleveland and more retail than they would normally do. And it was challenging because, it was 2 hours away. But it was going well. We had a good manager. We had a good staff. But then COVID, it didn't have the opportunity to get to a really solid place.
For sure.
As a business.
When did that open?
COVID hit. So COVID, 19, 17. I think 2015.
Oh, okay.
2016.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was up a little bit.
Yeah.
Now for you to, so that's so overwhelming to me because we take our dog to a daycare.
Yeah.
And, I love it. I love them. It's nice to be able to have a place that your dog could go, but no matter what, I'm always somewhat paranoid just because human beings, like, there's so many dogs, like, so I'm curious to know did you spend a lot of time working in there at all?
No.
Okay. So you were pretty hands off with it.
I set them up.
Yeah.
And I was very hands-on.
Now,
hands off.
Now, as someone who, was involved in the business, it's like, how do you develop a procedure to kind of make things run smoothly? You have all these dogs. I know that they're separated, big and little, and you have but I'm very curious as someone who uses one of these services, how does that get put into place? Often I see a lot of like younger people working there. It's like, how do you teach a person if two dogs are fighting? You know what I mean? Because you always hear them terrible things, terrible stories, and you're like, God, if that would happen to me, it would be bad news.
And they're trained by a trainer.
Yeah.
On how to handle dogs and what to do.
Yeah.
They definitely have a protocol.
Yeah. And that's,
but it's serious. It's a serious protocol and procedure that they have to go through and learn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
because we have live animals that we're
I like the idea of like the webcams and everything too.
Sure.
That's definitely important. It's definitely interesting. Were you as someone who has this pet store, I saw that you were also, what's the Pet Expo? Did I see that?
So I'm the title sponsor for the Pittsburgh Pet Expo.
Yeah. Now what is that?
So the Pittsburgh Pet Expo is you haven't been there yet?
No, I'm going to probably go for sure.
Get you tickets.
Okay. That would be great. Yeah. Cause it looks pretty awesome. Is it the convention center?
It's at the convention center and it is the largest consumer based pet expo on the East Coast. So in other words, it's just a massive trade show, but for consumers.
Wow.
So I'll be set up there. I have things for sale. We will all be talking to people. We're right there at the entrance. Somebody with collars, somebody with bones, somebody from Ohio that makes cat furniture.
Is this all like a pet friendly place?
Yeah, everybody. It's insane because they put up a pool, a diving pool for dogs.
Oh my goodness!
In the in the convention center.
Oh wow!
So
and they have like training seminars, all that. I'm sure.
Training seminars. There's a lore course.
When is it?
It is November 12th, 13th, and 14th. We have a costume contest on Sunday. There's grooming competitions. So there's this big stage and you can see dogs being groomed and they're all competing.
Wow.
Normally we have a big cat show too, but the cat show didn't participate this year. Dachshund races.
How long have you been involved with this?
The manatee, they have a manatee pool,
like manatees?
Yeah, like manatees. There's a guy with crabs there. There's a bird. The bird guy's there. The bird guy.
I guess whenever people say, I'm associating you with just dogs, but I mean pets. There's a lot of others.
Oh yeah, a lot of others that we won't get to in this podcast. I don't think.
How long have you been involved with this?
So I started out just as a vendor.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rocco Lamana owns the show. He'd be able to tell you. But I started out just as a vendor for a couple of years. And then I did a sponsorship, and then I just took over title sponsorship.
And that means like Healthy Pet Products presents the Pet Expo.
You got it.
There you go. That's big dogs. That's big dog shit. You know, that's awesome.
That's kibble dog shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've done it. I've done it at least for the past 3 or 4 years.
Are you pretty involved with that?
I re-signed for 5 more years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm nuts.
Now, is that like an involved thing, or are you kind of like?
It's pretty involved.
Yeah.
Rocco owns the show, so he pretty much.
Is it local? Is he local?
Yeah, he's local. He lives in South Hills here.
Oh, I'd love. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. I'd love to talk to him.
Oh, he'd gladly talk to you.
Okay.
And he does other shows, like he does some of the home shows. And
oh, really?
Not the big one.
Yeah, but like that's cool that he does other stuff too.
Little Italy Days in Bloomfield. That's his show.
Oh, we'll definitely. Yeah, we'll talk about that after.
So anyhow, so he does all the selling of the booths and organizing the entertainment and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I can have the booths around my big booth.
Yeah.
Like I can have my vendors there.
Yeah.
So, which is cool. So it's kind of like a mini Healthy Pet Products. At the Expo.
Yeah, I carry these products. You can find them at my store.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's cool.
Or here's the rep from.
So do you just have a bunch? I mean, is anyone that's attending this show allowed to bring their dog in?
Anyone is allowed to bring their dog in.
How chaotic is that?
It's insanely loud.
Yeah.
And chaotic.
Do you notice, as someone who runs these and has a pet store that's pretty big, do you ever have people that bring aggressive dogs in?
Yes.
It's like I want to understand.
No,
I want to understand why people think it's okay, but there's nothing in my mind that lets me think like, in what part of your mind do you think it's okay to put other people's calm and behaved dogs in that big of jeopardy? Because if a dog attacks my dog, I'll grab a fucking pencil and jam it in their neck, and that's graphic, but. It will definitely happen.
Yeah.
And I become a nutcase going on like I work myself up to almost a sickness going to on the trail and everything like that and going anywhere because, you see one video online of a dog, latching onto another dog and that's all I see whenever I see animals coming past.
Yeah.
So I've even asked questions on that vet thing, like how, what's the right thing to do whenever this situation arises? Because I think about it all the time. Like if a dog starts attacking my dog, I just signed up through Animal Friends, the pet first aid. It's like,
oh, good.
I'm kind of nuts about it. I want to be involved because the dog was eating something the other day and like coughed and I immediately start panicking and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck to do if the dog starts choking. If I'm prepared a little bit, I won't panic and I'll probably have a little bit more time to be able to like logically think about this stuff. And I think that course they go over like, bites, scratches, broken, all that stuff. So I do my due diligence for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I'm sure it's chaotic at these big vendors. Like I would never bring her down just because I feel like I don't need to put her into that.
Stressful environment.
Yeah, stressful environment.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we have stupid humans that
bring their aggressive dogs.
Or their 13-year-old dog.
Yeah, that don't want to deal with a puppy and all that.
Slipping on concrete floor. Or, like we see it all.
It's crazy. And my buddy lives in the north side.
Yeah.
He has a beautiful, just like well-behaved bull. It looks like a fucking bull, like just an animal. Will tear someone up if she needs to. Was attacked yesterday. Didn't get hurt or anything, and didn't hurt the other person's dog, but defended herself. He said, and we were talking about this, and it's another person that has a dog that's not well behaved that brings them into the dog parks and just like lets that happen. And he's like, it pisses me off now because people are going to think my dog is aggressive because she defended herself, and it's such like this ridiculous dance between pet owners that really just falls on the how stupid their owner is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's interesting. So how do you guys prepare for that? You can't really do it, right?
We are defenseless.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah, because there's no way of like, is your dog all right?
There's no way to control it.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many people are up in there sometimes?
Last year was 18,000
My goodness.
over the weekend.
And you figure if you got a quarter of that, people bring in animals, like, ugh.
Yes.
That's
and for
crazy.
the most part, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, there is that time.
There is a good percentage that we see, you hear an eruption and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like your heart stops.
Yeah. That's such a cool. I'm sure it's stressful, but I'm sure it's a cool event. So you guys like come up with like like there's trainers in there and like all this stuff. That's pretty wild.
You name it, it's there, and there's human stuff too.
Yeah.
So he sets up there's a bar, there's food.
Nice.
Patty's Pastries always has a great food truck or her pastries there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great event. People bring their kids. The dock diving is pretty epic.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Tina's dog does that, and it's wild to see.
Tina's always there.
Tina has whenever I interviewed Tina, she brought her dog in, and it makes me feel like shit whenever, because you have a trainer's dog and you're like, God damn it. This dog's just sitting here perfectly behaved and my dog's upstairs freaking out.
Yep.
And, but I mean, like, I guess their dog should be like that, right?
Yep.
If she came in here and their dog was just going nuts, I'd be like, maybe I'm not going to work with you. But she was great. I really like the way that she runs everything. Now, on that though, do you have people, do you let obviously you don't let your personal beliefs, affect what you have in your store because you're obviously carrying kibble and you obviously don't, condone kibble. But what do you think about the whole people between correctional training as far as like electric shot or like electric collars and like prong collars? I know that's another topic where people will live and die on their own hills.
Yeah.
How do you see that as a pet owner? You have to cater to both of them. So, you have to find a medium with it.
I do. So, and I do think there are dogs that need that electric collar.
Yeah.
And it's a small percentage.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's up to the trainer to decide and the owner of that dog to decide.
Yeah.
I try not to judge.
Yeah.
I don't carry prong collars.
Yeah.
I don't carry choke collars. I don't carry prong collars. I don't carry retractable leashes.
Yeah. I whenever I started reading about that, I was like, God, I was an idiot. My parents had that, but granted, my mom's dogs are these small dogs that never really did anything. We have a big plot of land, so it was all fenced in. So they just went out and ran.
Yep.
But so many bad, tendencies to instill in the dog.
Retractable leashes are terrible.
Yeah,
they're dangerous
crazy
for humans, just like they are for pets.
It's interesting to see as someone who wanted to like get involved with training and like do the right things, and like there's obviously big name trainers around here, and then there's people like Tina and. Obviously, as a pet owner, I'm under the idea, I don't want to hurt the dog to, for her to learn things. And then the other day I'm driving and I'm thinking about that because I'm thinking about interviewing you. And I'm like, I'm also to the effect of like, back in the day, my dad would slap me upside the head if I did something dumb and I wouldn't do it anymore. Sure. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. So I can understand people use that thought process on their animals as well.
Yep.
But there's things that were done back in the day, like with my parents, that I would never do. Like I would never rub my dog's face in, piss or anything, because it's like, how does that make sense that that's going to benefit, that's going to teach that dog not to do it?
Exactly.
There's just small things that I don't know.
That seem idiotic today.
Yeah, they do. They seem idiotic today. Yeah. But that's cool that you don't do that. I don't really see a value of a choke collar, but I understand people that use the prong collars and stuff. Yeah. Especially if like a woman has like a big ass dog. Like my wife gets pulled around by our dog, and our dog is small.
So you need the freedom no pull.
Yeah, I know. She's been telling me all about it because my dog pulls like a damn horse. But
it's the bomb.
That's the one that goes around the face?
No, that's the gentle leader.
Gentle leader. What's the freedom no pull? That's the one that just is around the shoulders, right?
The freedom no pull is around the shoulders and the chest.
Yeah.
And when your dog pulls, it tightens around the chest. So, a martingale collar applies equal pressure around the neck.
Yeah.
It's basically a martingale collar around their chest.
Ah.
It has 2 points of contact. The Freedom No Pull harness is the best harness.
I'm going to have to get one.
And there's no pain. There's no like restriction to get them to slow down. It really teaches them how to walk loose leash.
Yeah, how they're supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, so how many locations do you have now?
So I have 3 Healthy Pet Products locations and 1 Healthy Pet Grooming location.
Yeah. So where's that and when does that come into play?
So Healthy Pet Grooming came into play in 2015. That kind of, I got a phone call one day from a woman that owned a grooming shop in Franklin Park. And she said, I'm selling. My husband got relocated to the West Coast. Are you interested in buying? So I thought, grooming shop. Dogs with skin conditions are in grooming shops all the time. Groomers see hot spots and this and that and the other. Thought it would be a no-brainer to do, grooming. So I purchased that location. So I purchased that company in 2015. I'm pretty sure it was 2015.
Yeah.
And it was called Bark and Go. I think it was called Bark and Go. So I changed it to Healthy Pet Grooming, rebranded it, clean, put my twist on it, my retail twist on it, put all my products in there. And so that's that location. And then I have Grooming in Cranberry too.
Oh, wow.
So Grooming is a massive store. Grooming is twice, or
oh, that's Cranberry. The store name, Grooming.
No, Healthy Pet Grooming is in Franklin Park.
Yeah.
And then my store in Cranberry, my Healthy Pet Products store, has
grooming in it. Ah, okay.
Correct.
Have you groomed dogs ever?
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
No. I don't even cut my own dog's nails.
Oh, I bet. I mean, it's overwhelming to do that too. It's, we just, we were doing that in the beginning because obviously, they're like, oh, the most important thing for a puppy, one of the most important things is like make sure you get them used to getting their ears touched, feet, all this. So like every morning I'm like grabbing this dog's feet, while she's eating, I'm like putting my face in like, in places and I'm like, you're not going to be like one of these because I don't want to have to worry about, not being able to cut my dog's nails.
Right.
You see the memes of people like putting their dogs in harnesses up on like the top of a door frame. You see people wrapping saran wrap or peanut butter on their head. So we just wanted to do the right thing. But I was thinking about starting to cut my dog's hair. Why not?
Yeah.
But I don't know. She's kind of crazy. But so I like the fact that you're like, you definitely are business minded, that you want to like, kind of expand all these businesses. What are the goals for, the Healthy Pet, brand over the next few years? Do you want to keep expanding pet stores, grooming?
So that's
it's a loaded question.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So I always wanted to be in each primary location in Pittsburgh. So in other words, north, south, east to west, for lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
So I don't have east. I don't have a leg in the east yet. I would still like to have an east location. Mm-hmm. And actually looking at a Florida location.
Florida.
Yeah.
Nice. Set yourself up for a nice little.
You got it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Got it. And one of my what worked out great was one of my managers actually moved to Florida.
Meant to be.
She's like, Toni, I can't find anything here.
Yeah.
You have to. So.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely tell as, a pet owner, you could tell what is an elevated pet store compared to like granted, you call it as Petco. You go into Petco or like, any of them lower end stores and you don't have as much to choose from. And then, the shit you do have to choose from isn't always the best. So, you could really tell like what is, the environment of it and the people that help you out. Even all the other places you say, Pedagogy, like Wagsburg, like Leone's, it's like your spot. And as a pet owner, I mean, I get, obviously those places are like a competition, but, we're going to all these places. It's like, I take my pet to all of these places because, you find some things in one place that you find in the other. And I don't know. I like patronizing people that do
good
this
things.
Stuff. Yeah.
And we're in it because we love it.
Yeah, you got to be, because it's all a pain in the ass. I know that you're definitely moving a million miles a second. You're always worrying about this, and I know that it's overwhelming to do. But you gotta love what you do to be able to do this stuff.
I love what I do, and it is truly my life's purpose.
Yeah.
And another new thing that we just that I should say, well, I can't do anything without help from my awesome staff.
Yeah.
But I just created a private label called Toni Unleashed.
What's that?
So it's my own brand.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to develop into. We're starting with locally sourced body parts. So bones, raw bones, raw duck necks.
Wow.
Raw tripe. So we're starting to source from local, organic, pastured animal farms for raw body parts. So we're doing that, and then starting a collar line.
A collar line. Mm-hmm. Nice.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's fine. That's fine.
A little local twist to it.
I like that.
So
I like that. So you're obviously, you don't have enough shit on your plate.
Right.
You just want to keep it going.
Just keep piling it on.
Do you have an idea of when? Do you think that this is something that do you ever have a dream of retiring from here and just kind of being completely hands off? Or are you someone who's I'm someone who's a control freak.
Yeah.
I'm doing all this shit myself. No one touches this besides me because I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
No one is going to do it better than I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And take as much care. Are you that way, or do you want to eventually work your way out of it?
I don't think there's an entrepreneur on the planet that can say they're not a control freak.
Yeah.
I would love to meet one that isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess yes. I'm hands on.
Yeah.
I picked up transfers at the North Hill store.
Yeah.
And the Cranberry store, and then drove here.
Yeah.
To South Hill store.
Yeah.
So, my boyfriend would love me to retire.
Yeah.
I don't think I will ever retire. Will I always own a retail business? I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see how it happens.
We'll see. There's definitely a shelf life there.
Yeah.
Because retail is exhausting.
I bet. Yeah, it gotta be.
So the day will come.
Yeah.
Right now,
Nothing in store yet.
I don't have anything in store yet, and too many good things are happening. I'm experiencing, very thankful to be experiencing exponential growth.
That's great. Yeah, it's definitely great. Do you do anything as far as I saw you have a couple of the boxes in the store that offer donated items?
Sure. Yeah.
How do you take that into the consideration? It's obviously you have a great amount of success. Obviously you love dogs and other animals. And obviously there is we're having a problem with people and an overrunning of, kennels and animal sanctuaries and shit like that. It's as a business owner, is that something that's on your mind? Being able to use your success to help other, people that could use it?
Definitely. So, we do, we make collections for local rescues in each area of every location. Mm-hmm. Again, that's a relationship that we have to build with that rescue.
Yeah.
Just like any business, not all rescues are created equal.
You want to make sure they're good people.
Yeah. And some people start out thinking they have that they're saving animals, but they're really not saving animals.
Yeah.
So we do that. So we're a drop-off location, and my North Hills store, North Hills Community Outreach, which is basically a human organization for collecting.
Yeah.
We've organized with them to collect pet food for people that they can drop off to local homeowners that need pet food just like they do human food.
That's awesome.
So we try to be involved as much as possible. And there's local meet and greets, where the rescue comes in with dogs and cats and,
that's good.
Get them out to the public. And then Healthy Pet Day is an annual event that I do every year at each location. Healthy Pet Day is just, it started out as my first grand opening, and then it was such a success that we do it every year.
Yeah.
So it's like a mini. We have a huge sale. We have local rescues. We have
an event.
We have reps that come in. It's an event. So the rescues, and then we do a huge basket raffle on that day.
That's awesome.
And then whatever rescues are present at that location, they get part of that money that's been donated.
That's great.
So,
did you have a lot of problems in COVID? Like, were pet stores were allowed to stay open, right?
So we were thankfully deemed essential.
Yeah.
But we did close our doors for 5 weeks and did curbside only when
okay.
it first kind of hit.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Now, did you experience any sort of like hold up with like products? You know, I know a lot of other. Oh yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so people pantry loaded in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the pipeline ran dry.
Yeah.
And then we started to see supply come back up, but we're still having, and it's so random, and it's just the weirdest shit. Just like, you know, who would think we would run out of cars?
Yeah.
Because the chips come from China.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we have these chews called no hides.
Yeah, I
Earth
saw
Animal
that.
no hides.
Yeah.
Well, COVID, they have a plant in Connecticut. COVID hit their plant like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, really?
So
I noticed that they were out at the one place that I was going. Yeah, you couldn't find them.
And I've had customers say, I can't even get these online. I'm like, because they look at me like I'm like,
yeah, hoarding them or something like that.
Yeah, or like, I'm like, I'm not lying. Like, there's none.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You know what else I saw was I couldn't find was the braided bully sticks.
Yeah.
It's like
bully sticks.
I mean, it's crazy.
They're very rare.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, but they're priced for what they are, I'm sure. They're definitely not cheap.
They're not cheap. And that, I mean, everything in the store literally has gone up.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable. I mean, my buddy, he's a chef he owns a restaurant in Southside. He had chicken wings that were going up. He had to raise his prices because chicken wings.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's crazy to think about that. Yeah. As a pet owner, this is another thing that I was thinking about the other day. I've seen people giving their dogs antlers.
Yeah.
You know, is that something? I see that you have them in your store.
Yeah.
You ever see any negative from that? Dogs breaking their teeth or anything like that?
It can happen.
I know it can happen, but do you ever get people from that?
A minuscule amount.
Yeah. I was curious because that's something that I was going to, I'm going to grab one for her. I think she would end up liking it.
For sure. We sell so many antlers. It's
what kind of
ridiculous.
stuff does your dogs like? Do they like bully sticks and everything? Do you give your dogs that?
I give my dogs bully sticks.
Yeah. Such a weird thing. A bull penis?
It's a penis.
Now, I'm curious because, is there just a few brands that like make this? I know that there's like other brands. There's like the Bully and something. They have like a lighter blue. I believe you have a spinning rack right now that has them all on there. And then you have that back wall that has all them on there.
Yep.
It's like, how does that work as far as like company? Is there companies that just like,
do body parts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like kind of what you're trying to get into as far as? It makes me think like how many bulls are there that there could
Not
be
enough.
all these, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
And still the cattle industry, there's not enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of companies are just in the body part business.
It's wild. That veg company, I think it's called, they always have the duck hearts and everything.
Yeah.
See, excuse me, whenever I started going in there and I was like, oh, there's like a trachea here. I was like, this shit is gross. But then I was like, it makes me feel good that they're utilizing all this, like, this waste technically, and it's going to where it needs to go.
And it's what a dog would naturally chew on.
Yeah.
So if you look at how many body parts I have compared to how many man-made chews I have.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, because my dog likes a Benny Bone, and I was like, do you guys have any Benny Bones?
Yeah.
And the girl was like, not really. And I was like, there must be a reason behind that. And I like that. Because at first I had the assumption, I was under the assumption that the material that the Benny Bone was made out of was edible. And then I was like, this is just plastic. And then I started researching and they were like, nah, once it starts like coming apart, it's not good.
right.
But,
Right.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. You know,
is.
I'm trying to keep up to date with it all. It's overwhelming though, for sure.
It is.
What is your stance on pet insurance?
Pet insurance. So I don't have it for my dogs. But I think it's good to have in case of an emergency.
Yeah, we ended up getting it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I was just curious if you were, it's weird because I feel like people who come into dogs that are a little bit older, like how old were your dogs when you got them?
Bo was 5. We were his third home. And DeSoto, if the sanctuary was right where we was correct, they estimated him to be 3 years old.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I get it. People that are getting dogs that are a little bit older, they might not think of it from the beginning, but that was just my thought because my parents never had them. You know, we didn't even know that was a thing for the dogs.
Right.
And then I started hearing about it.
So did you get the kind that you get the annual?
Yeah. It's every month. Every month we pay like $30. And it is, it's basically $1 a day. They replenish like 90% of it. We have to pay out of pocket at first, and within like 5 business days, they will replenish 90% of it. It is for anything. It's not for anything like a regular pet visit, like any checkups or anything like that. But they will do surgeries. They will do blockage. They will do, skin allergy shit. They will do any of that. And I did some math on it. If we did it for 10 years, it would come out to be like, $4,500 around there. But if she had one surgery, like my mom's dog who has since got that aggressive cancer, he just had surgery a couple weeks ago. It was like $3,000 to get this, to get his spleen taken out. And he's going to fucking die anyway. And it's a shame because just one time it's going to pay for itself. So, I just figured, I always tell people, like I talk about it on here sometimes, like I talked about it with Tina, I believe, but I feel like it's definitely valuable, especially all these young people that are doing it. It's like, this is one weekend you're not going to go to the bar to be able to afford this for your dog. Because another negative effect of me being part of all these groups, these pet groups, people will just these dogs blatantly need emergency care. And people are just like, I can't afford anything. Like, what could I do at home? Like, dog's leg is like broken, got hit by a car, and they're like, I can't take it in. Is there anything I could do at home? And all these vets are like, no, you need to take it to the emergency room. And it makes me so angry whenever there's like situations like that. So I'm like, in the beginning, you could watch your own ass and get this insurance for your dog. And it's $30 a month. That's $1 a day. It's really not too much for like, basically your kid and another half of a kid, you know? So, I don't know. I've always been I feel like I'm a big proponent. Granted, I haven't had to use it, knock on wood, but I feel it's another peace of mind to have it.
For sure.
But I think that you're pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting to hear about all you do. I'm obviously a fan of your store. My dog is a fan of the store. We'll definitely be back around. I would love to go to the Pet Expo though.
Okay.
I'm gonna definitely put it in my book that me and my wife will come down to that because I'm definitely I'm intrigued on it for sure.
You'll have a blast.
Oh, I bet. It looks overwhelming because I didn't even know that was a thing. I guess I never really had a reason to go to that before. But
that will break Rocco's heart.
Oh, yeah. I get it. I knew about Little Italy days, so they're come full circle. But, okay, so the ending segment that I do on the podcast with all my guests is a segment called Desert Island Questions. Everyone has to do this. So no one really knows what it is as far as like whenever they're coming in here. So it's just on your toes, your first response answer. So desert island questions, whenever I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island to use until they starve to death and die. So the first category is 3 things to watch. So you get to pick 3 movies to watch over and over and over again for the rest of your life.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club.
That's a good one.
Gone with the Wind.
I've never seen it. Oh, I know. That's one of the classics.
And I'm not a girly girl,
seen.
but Gone with the Wind is definitely an awesome movie.
Okay.
Schitt's Creek.
I do enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot. I didn't watch it all yet, but I watched a good bit of it with my wife. It's definitely funny. Second category. I usually ask people 3 books to take with you. Do you read?
I do.
What would be 3 books?
I don't know. Gone with the Wind. I've read so many books in my life.
Yeah. You read a lot?
Not as much as I would like to.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I've read since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's all right. It's a hard question to ask.
Probably something by what's his name? I would take a Buddha book.
Okay. Little Buddhism on there for the desert island.
Buddhism for the desert islands.
Yeah.
And probably, I'm not a big self-help book person.
Me either.
At all.
What about a book that you would recommend someone to read for their dog? Do you have any of those?
No.
Yeah.
But Karen Becker has a brand new book out that I think everybody should get. I can't think of the title of it.
Karen Becker.
I would take that book.
Okay, that's fair. Third category, 3 CDs.
John Mellencamp, Lonesome Jewel.
The Cougar?
Yeah.
A little bit of the Cougar. Okay.
Showing my age.
That's all right.
I would take Neil Young Harvest.
Oh, I'm a big Neil Young fan.
And I would probably take something like Big Band era.
Okay. That's a good answer. It's a good variety. Third to last question is something called the death row meal. So the death row meal is, you ever see them articles, what people eat before they get put to death? You get to pick a appetizer, a main course, and a dessert from wherever you want in the world, whatever you want.
Main course would definitely be spaghetti and meatballs. And dessert would be tiramisu.
Oh.
Appetizer would be a charcuterie board.
Oh, that's such a good meal. That's a perfect meal. I like that. Second to last question. If you're getting ready to go on a road trip and you have to go into a gas station and get a snack, you can only pick one snack. That's the only snack you could have the rest of your life. What would it be?
Ruffles, cheddar, and sour cream.
You're right on there. Usually people are like, it could either be this way or that way.
I always get them when I drive.
I
don't eat, I eat super healthy.
They're super good though. Yeah. Does it carry over into your life?
I walk the walk.
Yeah. What, so you're not like eating fast food, McDonald's and shit like that? I couldn't
tell you the last time I had even pop.
Yeah. Wow. It's interesting. I figured it would, carry over.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about, does it ever go as far as to thinking about doing like a raw diet or like a vegan or vegetarian type thing?
So my boyfriend's a vegetarian.
Okay.
I believe in moderation.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's fair. I would not go raw. I think I would be a miserable bitch.
Yeah.
if I went to that raw or vegan.
I think anyone would be miserable.
I don't know how you couldn't be.
Usually people will suffer through the first few months and then they're like, oh, it's the best. But you're like, yeah, but you were having night sweats for a month and shit.
No, I'm not going to die saying I wished I ate more chocolate.
Yeah.
No way.
Do you not eat a lot of chocolate? Oh, that's good though. That's good that you have that willpower. Okay, so the last question that I ask everyone is: if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
The first person that popped into my head was Dean Martin.
Dean Martin. Wow. Okay, that would be a great conversation. We've had answers from. I've had people tell me everything from. I've had Democrats tell me Donald Trump, all the way to, Stalin, all the way to, I would pick Robin Williams or someone. People pick everyone on here. People pick fake people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Desert Island questions are pretty interesting, though. It's interesting to kind of get a feel of your entire life of why you became someone who owns a pet retail store. But, you don't really get into the details of, I feel like you naming a couple CDs and movies kind of gives someone a little bit more information about what type of person you are. But
I'm complicated.
I mean, I'm a fan. I appreciate you coming over and talking to me and doing all this and taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know that it's definitely busy. Take a second and plug all your stuff. Where could people find you as far as your Instagram? Where's the, what store plugs, whatever you want to do?
Sure. So healthypetproducts.net is our website. locations are Cranberry, North Hills, and South Hills. Healthy Pet Grooming is healthypetgrooming.net, and that is in Franklin Park. The Instagram is Healthy Pet Products. We have TikTok.
Oh, yeah, TikTok.
We do have a cool TikTok.
You're pretty conscious of TikTok as a business owner?
I don't do any of it.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I have an Instagram just so that I can, like, you know, I don't do any of it. Sid, my marketing manager, does it all.
Oh, that's good then. It's so interesting, all these brands, but getting TikToks and everything.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. I just don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
And Tony Unleashed.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah.
No website yet.
And these callers are coming.
And the callers are coming. I think Pittsburghers are going to love them.
Well, that's good. I'm excited for it. I do appreciate you talking to me, though. I feel like it was a great conversation. Definitely enlightening. I'm sure we'll be talking again here soon enough. But everyone else that's listening, I appreciate it as usual. Follow Healthy Pet Products on Instagram. I'll call you right back on Instagram. And, we'll coming back next week with a good episode. So thanks for listening, and I'll call you right back.